Yeah, that's good. All right, then I think we're good. Okay. So welcome everybody, and thank you for being here. I'm excited to chat with you all about creating an Instagram account for your Rotary Club, and talking about not just doing it, but the benefits and what it's all about and how it differs from some other social media you might be aware of. So we're going to talk about a lot of stuff. We're hoping to keep it to an hour and a half at the very most, and that includes some question time. So it'll probably be closer to an hour, but we'll dive right in so we can keep to that timeline. So first of all, you might want to know who the heck I am in case you don't. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Kirk Langford. I'm the public image and social media chair for the district. So I typically it ends up being I answer a lot of questions from clubs about, branding questions about correct logo usage, how to increase their social media presence, how to get just better exposure in general. So all things related to public relations or public image, and then of course the social media side. So tonight, obviously quite heavy on the social media side. So I want to engage you folks a little bit. I don't want you to just sit and have to listen to me for an hour and a half, because I've heard recordings of myself and I can tell you that's not pleasant. So I want to get some insight from you folks. So what we're going to do is do some polling, some real-time polling, so that I can see what you folks are thinking about and what you've got on your mind. So I'm going to switch over to Mentimeter. So what I want everybody to do is to go onto a device. It can be the same device you're currently on. It can be another device. So if you've got your phone nearby or something, and I'm just going to quick mute everybody because I do hear a bit of feedback there. So give me 1 second to do that. There we go. You are able to unmute yourselves if you need to ask a question or something, so feel free to, but for now I've got everyone muted. So the way this works is you go to menti.com. You can see that in the top corner here. So I'm going to actually pop that in the chat as well, the Zoom chat. So you're going to see a little message pop up. You can click on that link, or you can just go to menti.com and enter the code that's up there. And when you do that, and you can do this on your laptop, on a tablet, on your phone, you can do it on the same device you're listening to me on, you can do it on a separate one. It's going to have this question. It's going to say, what's one word you would use to describe your feelings toward social media? So you type your word in the box and you click submit. So pick one word that you think encapsulates how you're currently feeling about social media. It can be anything. Your answers are completely anonymous, but I want to start to get the idea of what our starting point is, what our baseline is. Okay, perfect. We have a couple people already submitting. That's fantastic. I can tell you it is anonymous, so feel free to put either as something as positive as you like, or maybe as negative or truthful as you like. Either way is fine. Okay. Oh, I've got there's some great words already coming in. Involuntary addictive. Okay. Involuntarily addictive. Sorry. Helpful.
Where do I put the box? Type in what box?
So you're going to go to menti.com, menti.com, and then it's going to give you a code, or it's going to ask you to put in a code. Okay. And then you put in this code here, 54614048. And then when you click submit or enter, it should let you put in an answer to this question here. I should mention as well, if you have questions throughout the presentation, just like our friend from St. Clair did, feel free to unmute yourself and ask, or you can put a message in the chat if you don't want to interrupt, or you just want to maybe save it till later, or for whatever reason you don't want to speak it out loud. Either way is fine. I might save some questions till the end if they come in and I don't notice them right away. So we'll give it maybe 30 more seconds. But so far we're seeing connections, addiction, involuntarily addictive, ambivalent. Yes, do you have a question there?
I have a quick question. Where are you located?
Sorry?
Where are you located?
I'm just outside of London. I'm about 30 minutes west of London.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, about 10 minutes west of Strathroy, if anyone knows where Strathroy is.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, that's actually my club, is the Strathroy Club. So
Thank you.
yeah, you're welcome. So let's see what we've got. So we got addiction a couple times. We've got connections, daunting, okay, helpful, marketing, cautious, necessary, interesting, okay, time consuming for sure, wonderful. Okay, so we're getting a mix, which is kind of interesting. We're going to go to another question now. So you can stay in that same window, that same Menti window, or the same Menti page you were in before. And this time I'm going to ask you a different question, but the question will automatically load to the next question. You don't have to refresh the page or anything. So my next question for you folks is the following. All right, here we go. Let's do this. What's one word you would use to describe your club's relationship with, knowledge of, or use of social media? So we're not talking about your kind of personal feelings towards social media, more your club's either knowledge of social media or use of it or relationship with social media. So how do your club rather, and social media interact currently? That's what I want to know with this question. And again, you don't need to open a new window or anything. The question should just automatically load when I load it here. So we should all be good. We've already got 11 responses, which is fantastic. You can imagine that first question always takes a little bit for people to kind of figure it all out, and then it starts to flow right in. We're going to have these throughout the night. So if you want to keep that page open on whatever device you had it open on, feel free to do that because we'll come back to this as well. Okay, so we're seeing a mix of stuff. We're seeing excellent and great, cool. We're seeing increasing exposure, some pretty positive stuff here, but we're also seeing behind the times, limited, hesitant, basic, uneducated, limited to non-existent. Okay, so we're seeing definitely a couple, I would say more answers on the side of we need to work on it, which is probably why you're in this webinar in the first place. But a couple clubs that seem pretty confident with it, which is exciting. So maybe as we go through this, those clubs that have a little bit more experience with it will want to speak up or add comments in the chat, depending on what it is we're talking about at the time. Or, you know, if your club's really, really great with social media, feel free to grab your social media links during this meeting, throw them in the chat so that everybody else that's here can follow your pages to get ideas and inspiration of what to do. All right. Okay. So average for older people. Okay. I'm not sure what that means. I'm not gonna touch that with a 10-foot pole, but I'll just say it's there now in the chat or in the word cloud. So thank you for that. Okay. A couple more questions here as we move forward. My next question is, it advances for me. There we go. Does your club have a Facebook page? Does your club have a Facebook page? I know this webinar is about Instagram and it will be about Instagram, but I want to get again that baseline. How many clubs have a Facebook page? Because one of the things we're going to talk about in tonight's webinar is connecting your Facebook page to your Instagram account. So you post once and it goes to both accounts. So I want to get an idea of how many have a Facebook page and maybe if some don't have one at all. As people are answering, I'll let you know you don't have to have a Facebook page in order to create an Instagram account. But because they're both owned by Meta or our friend Mark Zuckerberg, they're connected if you want them to be. So, okay, so 100% saying to have one, great. Next question then, how many of you have an Instagram account already? Or rather your clubs, I should say, not you, but how many of your clubs have an Instagram account already set up? Okay. Okay, so we're still waiting on a couple of responses, but by and large, we're seeing majority no, but actually not by much. So I think if I click that, it transfers it over to actual numbers. So we got 9 saying no and 5 saying yes at this point. Okay. Okay, cool. I think that's the last question for now, and we'll dive back into the PowerPoint. Oh, perfect. Yeah. Okay. Just want to double check. So we're going to flip back to the PowerPoint here. So now you know a little about my role here at the district, why I'm the one doing the webinar. I know a little bit more about you folks. We are seeing that there is a few people with some experience, a good relationship, but by and large, I think we're finding maybe an older demographic, not as experienced as they'd like to be. So that's kind of what you're hoping to get out of this webinar, which is great. All right, I'm going to try to keep an eye on the chat, but if there is a burning question you put in the chat and I miss it, please just unmute yourself and flag it. Or if someone else sees a question that's urgent and I'm not answering it, go ahead and unmute yourself because I do sometimes miss it, even though I try to keep a good eye on it. So, okay. So let's move forward. Let's talk about what we're covering in tonight's webinar. I know I posted a small thing on Facebook to say what it would cover, but in more detail, we're going to start by just answering the question, what is Instagram? Okay, from a high level, what is it? Then we're going to talk about what is Instagram for business and how is it different from regular Instagram. Next, we're then going to talk about creating your Instagram for business account for your club. All right. Next, we'll dive into a little bit more of the nitty gritty, a little bit more of the details. So we're going to talk about posts, we're going to talk about stories, we're going to talk about highlights, and we're going to talk about reels. Those are the 4 kind of main terms or main ways that you're going to post stuff on Instagram. Next, we'll talk about some best practices. These aren't hard and fast rules per se, but just kind of, I would say, curated wisdom, common wisdom, I would say, from the net and just from other people that post a lot. Next, we'll talk about, like I said, connecting those two so that you're not having to post, do twice the work and post to both individually. You can actually use a couple ways to post just to one, and then it goes to both. And then we'll talk about Meta Business Suite. That's one of those ways you can post to one and it automatically sends it to both. All right. Just for everybody's reference, Meta is the parent company of both Facebook and Instagram, and I believe now WhatsApp. They've owned WhatsApp for a little while as well. So just slowly taking over all of the internet. Then we'll talk about next steps. So coming out of this webinar, what do you do? Where do we go from here? And then we'll have a little bit of time at the end for some questions. Okay. So that's our agenda for tonight. Knowing the agenda, we're going to jump back to the poll. I'm going to keep it bouncing, going to keep it moving here. So my question for you is the following. You've seen the agenda. What are you most excited to learn about? What portion of the agenda are you going, yep, that's the thing I want to know about, or that's kind of what I came here for. This is what I'm looking for. I ask that because if I know, no one's interested in joining Facebook and Instagram, I might go over a little bit faster than I would otherwise. So you folks let me know what you're most excited about. So again, you're going to go back to that window that you had Menti open before. The question should update automatically, and you can just answer that question in there. All right, interesting. So the biggest one so far is best practices, followed by kind of the difference or what are post, stories, highlights, and reels, and then connecting Instagram and Facebook. All right, give it maybe 15 more seconds. I'm glad it wasn't like 50% on the very first one, or else I would have expected you all to learn what Instagram is and then basically just disconnect and log off and I'd be all by myself. So that's good. Well, I put the exciting, juicy stuff until at least past the halfway point. So you're stuck with me for a little while anyway. So that's a good start. All right. So it sounds like best practices are going to be a big hit. You may have lots of questions during that time. So I'll try to kind of get through the other stuff perhaps a bit faster to save some time for that. And then of course we have, looks like the rest are actually perfectly even. There you go. Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so let's start then with what is Instagram? Well, simply put, Instagram is a social networking app made for sharing photos and videos from a smartphone. Now, I'm not just going to skip the slide because I do want to highlight a couple things, and they're the words that I underlined and bolded. Because the biggest question that people often have is what makes it different from Facebook, right? Especially if you don't have experience with it, you kind of go, is it just another Facebook? And in some ways it is. It is another social network for sure. But the big focus with Instagram is photos and videos. They want you sharing photos and videos. In fact, you can't really text or just send a text post, not like you can in Facebook. You can go on Facebook and just say, hey, here's my thought for the day, or here's my thought on this issue, or I just read this, or I want to say happy birthday to this person. In Instagram, they'd want you to post a picture of yourself or a video of yourself saying happy birthday to that person, or, out and about at the park or doing whatever you're doing. So it's very heavy on visuals, photos and videos. The other big thing about Instagram that's different from Facebook, Facebook started on the computer, on your laptop, on your desktop. And then as smartphones grew in the late 2000s and early 2010s, they had to adapt it to mobile because more and more people were using their mobile phones. Instagram didn't have that. Instagram started once mobile phones were already very popular. So from the beginning, Instagram has been centered on mobile phone usage. It is not optimized for desktop or laptops or computers. It is not optimized for tablets. They want you to use it on your phone. Now, me saying that, you can use it on your desktop. You can go Instagram.com and you can surf that way, but it's not as user-friendly as the mobile app because they really want you using your phone. So the big differences between that and Facebook, photos and videos, so visuals are very, very big. And they want you to do it on your phone. Now, for some people, you go, well, that's not any different from Facebook. I don't like to read posts on Facebook. I prefer videos anyway. Well, you're probably right, because here's what happened. Instagram exploded because of the visual component. People went, this is way better than reading, someone's life story in their Facebook post. So then what did Facebook do? They started pushing for people to do more visuals as well. So if you're thinking to yourself, well, I see tons of photos and videos on Facebook. You're right, you do now. But that's because they saw the popularity of it in Instagram and tried to push it to Facebook as well. Okay. But the big difference is that it's almost only photos and videos in Instagram. And then of course the mobile thing is big. Lots of you still probably use Facebook on your computer. You may not even have the app on your phone. On Instagram, you probably wouldn't last very long just using the website. You'd eventually go, I just need to download the app, because there's a lot of stuff that gets tricky or you just can't do if you're not using the app. Okay. The other big thing about Instagram is it is much more I would say streamlined compared to Facebook. As many of you probably know, with Facebook, you've now got the marketplace where you can shop. It's kind of like Kijiji. You can buy used items. You've got groups, which are getting really big. You've got pages, you've got all these different pieces to it. You've got, I believe there's a job recruitment piece on Facebook now. Instagram is much more simplified. You've basically got personal accounts and you've got your business account. You can have group chats, but it's very limited compared to what Facebook offers in terms of groups and that kind of thing. So you can think of Instagram as a very visual, slimmed down version of Facebook. Okay. All right. So any questions about that before I dive into the next bit? Okay, great. I answered that so perfectly. No one has a single question. This is wonderful. Okay, here we go. So Instagram for Business is basically Instagram's version of Facebook pages. So Catherine goes ahead and creates a Facebook profile as a human being. Catherine Buckley is a human being, so she goes and creates a profile to interact as a human being on Facebook. But now Catherine's got a business. Catherine's got Catherine's Candles Company. It's the best candle company in Northern Bruce Peninsula. Everyone buys her candles there. But so far, she's only worked on word of mouth and she wants everyone to know about it. So she goes on Facebook and creates a Facebook page. A Facebook page is basically like representing an organization or a company, something like that, not usually representing a person. Although, if you're a celebrity, someone like Beyonce has a Facebook page because she's the celebrity of her has that. But for most of us, we're not going to have a page for ourselves. We're going to have a page for our Rotary Club, for our business, for our school, for something like that. All right. Instagram for Business account is the same thing, but in Instagram. Okay. So, the question that you might ask, first of all, is there a difference between just setting up a regular account? Could I just set up an Instagram account and not create it as an Instagram for Business account? Well, you could leave it as a normal Instagram account in the same way that, Catherine's Country Candles could stay as just a Facebook profile. But I think all of you know at this point, if you get friended by Catherine's Country Candles, you get a friend request on Facebook, you're like, that's kind of weird. Why is Catherine's Country Candles a person? That's Catherine's business. Why is she adding me as a friend? You would expect to get a request to follow her page. That would be the difference. You'd kind of go, yeah, it should be her page inviting me, like a company. Okay. Same thing in Instagram. If you don't use a business account, it can kind of look a little more sketchy. It doesn't really let people know what you're doing. And the other nice part about it is that you can do a lot more with a business account. And that's one of the advantages. One of those things is insights. Oops. And so by insights, what I mean is you can see stats on how well your posts are performing. Are you getting lots of engagement? Are you getting lots of people liking them? If so, when? Is it the morning that your posts are most popular? Is it in the evening? Which posts are outperforming other ones? You can see some of that in a regular Instagram account, but Instagram for Business really lets you dive into the insights. And anyone doing social media for a club, put up your hand if you want to post at the least popular time and get the least amount of reach. Raise your hand if that's what you're looking for. Of course not. You're saying, if I'm going to put in this volunteer time and effort, I want to get the best bang for my buck, which happens to be a $0 buck. So you really want it to go far, right? So knowing the information that Instagram for Business can tell you, like when your posts are most popular to post them, what kinds of things your audience is reacting with, your audience demographic. Am I dealing with mostly men or women? How old are they? What area are they coming from? Instagram for Business can tell you those sorts of things if you're willing to take the time to look into it. So it's pretty cool what you can see. So what this is showing you here is just an example of that. So you can go to, for example, your top posts in the last 7 days. You click see more, it shows you how many likes you have on each one. And when you click on each individual post, you can then see how many impressions, how many people actually scrolled by my post. Okay, how many people did it reach? How many engaged with my post? So how many people either liked it or commented on it? This is really helpful information. One of the things I say when I'm talking about social media in general is that posts with a photo or a video will get much higher engagement. Think of yourselves when you're scrolling through Facebook. If you're just doing the dead scrolling or doom scrolling, I think they call it, what stops you in your tracks? A text about someone's day, a text about someone's thoughts on politics most recently, or a funny video of a cat jumping off a ledge and almost falling on the floor. It's the cat video. Videos grab our attention, even if they're silly, even if they don't seem important, right? So this is the kind of stuff where you can look at it and go, what's getting the most attention and what should I focus my efforts on when I'm advertising my club's events, members, whatever it might be. Okay, so it's Instagram's version of Facebook pages. It's the organization side of Instagram. Okay, so think we've narrowed that down. Let's keep moving. So how do you create an Instagram account? Well, there's a couple steps. The first thing that's different from Facebook, when you go to Facebook and you set up a Facebook page, you don't create a profile and then convert it into a page. You start by creating a page. You need to know right from the get-go, hey, I'm not creating a person, I'm creating an organization's representation on Facebook. With Instagram, it's different. With Instagram, you actually just create a normal account. You create a brand new account, and then you convert it to an Instagram for business account. That throws a lot of people off because right from the get-go, they go, how do I create an Instagram for business? And all the instructions you're going to find basically tell you just create a regular account and then you convert it afterward. So that trips some people up there. So you could take a screenshot of this slide. I'm also going to publish the webinar after on our YouTube channel. So I'll send you the link to that. So don't worry if you're thinking, oh my God, I need these instructions. I will send this webinar to you and I'll put chapter markers so you know when each part kind of happens. So you just click right on the link if this is exactly the part you want to go to. So, but essentially what you're going to do is you go to the Instagram app, or I mean, I did say you could go to Instagram.com, but I would recommend using the mobile app. You go to the app, you click create a new account or sign up. You enter your club's email address. I would not recommend using your personal address. Use an address that more than one person has access to, preferably someone else in your club. If I use, soniaglass@gmail.com, then if someone else wants to get into the account, the emails are going to that account. Sonia has to be constantly forwarding them. Someone wants to get in. Now Sonia might have to give her personal email password. So if your club has a shared account of some sort, use that. If it doesn't, consider creating one. A Gmail account through Google is free. And that avoids one person having the credentials and being hesitant to give them out to other people. So in the Strathroy Club that I'm part of, we have, for example, Video Strathroy Rotary. So that could be the account, the email address you use. Okay, doesn't really matter. And then you create a username and password, which we'll talk about in a sec. I did see, I think Ramo had their hand up. Ramo, if you want to unmute yourself. So I just wanted to get that point out before I continued, but if you'd like to go ahead and ask a question or make a comment.
Was about to type it in the chat, but yeah. So if the club already has an account, like a private account, whatever, personal account, can we just switch it to this, or do we need to create a new one?
No, if your club already has an Instagram account, but it's just not a business account, you can convert it. You don't have to create a new account.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're not losing the post. Yeah.
Okay. No, you actually don't lose any of the posts or anything like that. It all stays in there. It just gets converted to a business account, which is great. So your past history, past comments, your past likes, all of that gets saved, which is really great.
Perfect. Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. And I'll actually explain that in the next slide because it's part of, even if you're creating a regular account, you have to start regular and then go to business. So you'll see that it'll take you maybe 10, 15 minutes to do it. It doesn't take a lot. At the very beginning too, you'll notice it gives you lots of options. Put in a link in your bio and put in a picture and put in the... Start simple. It can be overwhelming because you're going, I don't know what I'm supposed to put here. I'm not, set up exactly and only what you need to set up in order to get the account, and then, chip away at the other pieces of it as you go. If you get to a point where you're like, Kirk, he keeps asking me to send a bio link. What the heck are they talking about? Shoot me an email or give me a quick text or something, and I can walk you through those little bits. It makes me sad when I see people go, yeah, we started doing that Facebook thing or that Instagram thing or that whatever, but it kept asking too much stuff and I got overwhelmed. Don't get overwhelmed, get help. Send me a text, send someone else a text that you know and that you can trust their opinion on social media, and just help them, let them work through it with you, okay? So you've created your account, okay? You've got that ready to go. Now you've got to convert, one point before I talk about converting it to a business account. You need to think of a username. This is the username that you're going to share. Let everybody know what your username is to follow. It's called your handle. I have some suggestions. So if I were the Rotary Club of Sarnia Lambton Bluewater, I would not make a handle that says the Rotary Club of Sarnia Lambton Bluewater, because that's pretty long. That's kind of a mouthful, right? But I also wouldn't call it Sarnia Bluewater because I don't know that that's connected to Rotary. I don't know what that means. I wouldn't just do Sarnia, right? I wouldn't do SBL or SBW. I don't know what that means. So you want enough information that someone could think about it this way. You want enough information that someone could almost guess it, but not have to necessarily type your full Clubs Incorporated name, and also not type basically nothing and get it. So good examples, instead of the Rotary Club of Sarnia Lambton Bluewater, might be Rotary SLB or Sarnia Lambton Rotary. Okay. A good example, since we have Catherine here, you've got Northern Bruce Peninsula. That's a really long name. So you can imagine a tag like the Rotary Club of Northern Bruce Peninsula. People would give up after Rotary Club. They'd be like, no, I don't care that much. It's not that important. So you might do something like Rotary NBP or Rotary Northern Bruce. You know, you'll know in your region what people call it. If you say, Kirk, no one ever calls it NBP, then don't use NBP. You know, but if you know a term that people tend to use, if they call it N Bruce P, then use something like that, but try to keep it sort of condensed. Okay. Trying to think of other examples of people we have on here. You know, for things like Goderich, you're kind of easy. Rotary Goderich, Goderich Rotary, pretty straightforward, right? But some of the other ones, you just want to slim it back. So it's sort of less is more. Okay.
You have a question in chat, Pat?
Oh, thank you. Oh, there it is. Okay, so Carrie's asking, is that the same for Facebook? If a club has a regular account, can you switch to business to have others follow? Unfortunately, it's not, because there you're not dealing with a regular account versus a business account. You're dealing with a profile, which is meant to be sort of for humans, versus a Facebook page, which is an organization representation, and it works quite differently. So if you only have a Facebook profile, and you want to turn it into a page, you can't convert it. You have to just create a page. And then what I would do is you just go and invite the people that are your friends within your profile to like your brand new page. You say, hey, we got a page up and running. We're really excited about it. Come and like our page instead. You know, we're going to be winding down this account because it's, you know, a personal profile type thing. And then you just sort of port people over to it over time. That's what I would suggest for Facebook. Okay. So a couple of ideas there. Again, less is more, but don't make it so slim that no one could ever guess it because it's just a bunch of, you know, acronyms or something like that. And we know Rotarians love a good acronym, but that can also throw us off a little bit too. Okay. All right. So now you've got your Instagram account set up, but it's not yet an Instagram for business account. So then you have to convert it. It's basically 3 steps. It's as easy as this. You go to your settings. Once you have your account set up, you go to your settings, you click switch to business profile, you click continue. It just wants to connect and make sure that you are who you say you are. So then you do that. It'll say that connect your Instagram account to your Facebook page to connect with and learn about your followers. You don't have to do that, but you can do that. But either way, it's those 3 steps. You convert or switch to business profile. And once you're done, you'll see that the interface, the layout looks a little bit different. Not a lot, but a little bit different. So that's how it'll look, which I'll show you in a little bit, how it looks a little bit different when it's a business profile or business account versus a regular account. So it's basically 3 easy steps. Again, what I'll do is not only will I send the recording, I'll maybe put links to the actual step-by-step instructions on from Instagram so that if you're kind of going, I'd love the step-by-step, you'll have that as well. Okay. All right, we'll keep chugging along. So just making sure I'm checking in here. Okay, so now you've got your awesome new page. You're running your club's page, okay? And you're wondering, okay, now it's offering to let me post a whole bunch of different stuff and it's using all this terminology that I don't know. What the heck am I looking at? Well, let's dig in. This is where it's important to know the difference between a post and a story and a highlight and a reel, okay? So first thing, a post is a photo or a video, okay? It can be one or the other. It includes a caption. So if I click on this, these are posts here. If I click on any of these, it will make the picture bigger and it will see a caption underneath. So it could say, you know, it'll talk about whatever this is and give me more information about it. It might tag other Rotary Club accounts, for example. As you can see, this is the Rotary International Instagram page that I took this from. So it'll give you information about it. It might tag other people in it or something like that, but it gives you more information. It allows you to have a caption. Okay. And the other thing about a post is that it stays there permanently. So once you hit post, unless you delete it, it's there permanently. Now you can delete it. So if you make a mistake or it's something you don't want, you can delete it. But unless you do that, it'll stay there forever. That's the first piece. That's your posts. Next, you have stories. Stories, if an account has stories available to watch, it'll have a little ring around their display picture. Now I'm going to show you all this in real time on my phone in a few minutes, so hang tight, but you'll see a little ring around the picture that'll let you know that, oh, they have a story available to view. The difference is that a story can also be a photo and video, but the difference is that there's no caption. So it's not like you click it and it gives you more information like on these ones. It's just the picture of the video and whatever else is on it. So you could put text on the picture, but you don't get to put a description underneath of all the cool stuff your Rotary Club was doing. You would just have to be on the picture. And then the other part is that it actually disappears after 24 hours. So after 24 hours, your story is gone. So you might be asking, why the heck would you post stuff if you only want it available for 24 hours? Well, I can't necessarily say I know why they started it in the beginning, but now I can tell you what it is, or what it's turned into is posts are much more things that you're okay with being there for quite a while, right? So I put a post for my partner's birthday. I say, happy birthday. I love you. You're so great, blah, 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 blah. And then we go out for his birthday. We have a couple drinks. We're being ridiculous. I take some stupid photos and videos of all the fun stuff we're having. And I put those in my story so my friends can see them for 24 hours and then they're gone. They're erased in theory. Of course, everything's on the net once it's there. But in theory, no one can then go and look at it after that 24 hours. So that's kind of how people do it. So what might that look like for your club so far? Why might you do that? Well, you might put a post here. Well, here's a good example. You got an upcoming event and you want to post some info about the event that's coming up. You want to get people excited. If you put your, one pager here, you take a photo of the one pager, then you put out, well, it's not a very exciting post. It's not a great visual, but you want to get the word out. You could do a story promoting the event. Hey, 2 more weeks to get your tickets. Hey, 1 more week to get your tickets. Hey, 3 more days to get your tickets, right? Those are timely, right? Once that 3 days go by, it kind of would almost look silly for it to be in a post because in the description, it's going to say 3 days left, but it's like, well, no, the event already happened. It's gone. So that might be an example where you'd want to use a story. A post might be then after the event, posting photos of the event and sharing how it went. Hey, we raised $5,000. Thank you, the community, for your support. You folks are great. That would be an example where you do a post. Now, if you're overwhelmed already, I'm going to say this. If you're not sure, stick with posts. Start with posts and work your way into where you're more comfortable. So if you're not sure, start with posts. You can always explore with stories once you're more comfortable with posts. Okay, that's what I'll say. So next, what are highlights? You'll see the term highlights thrown around. Well, these are highlights. Highlights are just collections of stories. I said they're deleted after 24 hours. I kind of lied. They're taken off your profile after 24 hours, but you can still have access to them after. You as the user still have access. So say the night of your gala fundraiser, you went around or someone in your club went around with their phone and were posting great videos of the crowd and people saying, hey, thanks Rotary and all this wonderful stuff. And you've got this great collection of all these videos and photos from that night. And you kind of want to memorialize that, but it's like 40 different things. You can only post 10 pictures in a post or 10 videos. So what do? You could take all of those individual stories that you posted as individual stories over the week, maybe after the event, and you could create a highlight called Gala Night. And when someone clicks on it, they get to walk through all of the stories from your gala night all over again. And instead of it disappearing after 24 hours, now it's there in perpetuity until you take it down. So again, Barb, she had St. Thomas Clubs had their big fundraiser. She was going around taking fun videos of everyone, getting people to say fun things and doing that. She was uploading stories all night. So me, I'm sitting at home in my pajamas on a Friday night. I should have gone to the gala, but I was a loser and didn't buy my tickets. So I'm sitting there and I'm looking jealous going, this looks like so much fun. I really wish I would have gone. And so the difference is, the other big difference about a story versus a post is usually kind of like after the event. You take the time to curate kind of what photos you want to share. You think about the caption you want to use or the description. Whereas with a story, you're kind of posting in real time. You're out in the park and it's a beautiful day and you just, look at that beautiful tree. Snap. Oh, look at my dog being funny. There's a story. Oh, look at that squirrel running away. Another story. You don't put as much thought into a story. But the nice thing is it's pretty much immediately available. So Barb could be going around that night and getting people to think about it that very night. Hey, look what you're missing, as opposed to 3 days later. Hey, look what you missed, because she has to do it as a post. So a highlight allows you to bring back stories that you want to share for longer. Okay. Last thing I'm going to share in terms of terminology, I wouldn't really worry about it yet, to be honest. I don't really think it's in our sphere at the moment, but you've got Reels. Reels are only videos, no pictures. They're only videos and they're about 90 seconds long, up to 90 seconds long. You have lots of options of editing tools. So you can add a music soundtrack to your reel. You can add photos and other stuff into it, even though the base is a video. You can add captions, background, sticker, all this stuff. It can get quite complex, but it's also actually quite fun if you like exploring with that kind of stuff. and they're also there permanently. So it's sort of like, if you want to think of it like this, your posts, in theory, although it's not really this way, are kind of like your photos. Your reels are kind of like your videos, more or less. But again, don't worry so much about reels for now. They're a little bit newer. And at the end of the day, if you post it as a post, it's still out there. It's still good. You're doing the right thing. You don't have to worry that, oh, I didn't post as a reel and it was a video. That's okay. All right. So really what I think the takeaway from this part here so far is posts are what you want to focus on. Stories are where you want to go next to explore and have some fun. Highlights are a way to memorialize again your different stories that you want to keep. And then reels are videos only, but you can do lots of fun stuff with them. You can edit and add subtitles and all this stuff. Okay. So I'm going to go onto my phone on Instagram. I'm actually going to show you some of this stuff so you can see what I'm talking about. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen because I'm actually going to share what is in my phone. So let me just do that now. I'm going to ask you to give me a big thumbs up when you can see my phone screen. Okay, perfect. You can all see my screen. Perfect. I'm just going to move this over so I can see. Okay, so this is the Strathroy Rotary Club's Instagram. So just like with regular Instagram, you can request to follow people. People can follow you, right? So I follow Back Alley Burrito, or rather the Strathroy Club, I should say, follows Back Alley Burrito. They're a restaurant in London, Century 21, all of these great different things. You'll also notice you'll see the word sponsored. Those are advertisements. So if you're looking at an account going, I never followed that account, it's probably an ad, okay? But I can scroll through, I can see all sorts of different people doing great stuff in the community. And these are all because I went and liked these pages, or someone before me when they were managing the Instagram account said, hey, these are locals, let's support them, right? Okay, so let's start on our account. So if I'm on the Strathroy Club's account, I can see, like we talked about, I can see that big circle is my profile picture, the rotary wheel is my profile picture. Okay, and you'll see a little plus sign. Can you see that blue plus sign in the top corner? That's where I can add a story. So there we go. So look at this. I can now take a quick video of us and I can post it on our story. And I can post it on our So just by holding that button at the bottom. And I can post it on our So I click your stories. Do you notice how now there's a little rainbow kind of color, a little gradient thing going on there? That tells me that this account has a story. So if I click on the icon again, video of us, what do you know? It's us. Now it's going a little slow because my internet's going, you're running videos on Zoom on videos, but video of us, there you go. So now people can see that. And you'll notice there's still just a gray ring around it. That's because it's a story that's been watched. So you can kind of keep an eye on, oh, have I already seen that person's most recent story? So you see, it's kind of like quick in real time. I didn't have to think about it too much. I could also do it as a picture, right? If I click the plus button in the top right here, it lets me say, do you want to do a reel, a post, a story, a highlight? What do you want to do? You can go live. You can do an Instagram live. Okay. If you want to do a draw for some raffle you're doing, you could do a draw like that in real time. That's fun. But in this case, we're going to do, let's say, another story. So I click story. This time I just want to do a photo. So I go here. I take the picture. I should say as well, you can do some fun filters down here. Do you see all these things that are going across the bottom? I'm scrolling across them and you can do these ridiculous filters. So I can get a nice starry filter. I can do a kind of old-timey photo filter, lots of stuff. Don't get overwhelmed by it as much as, oh, okay, this is fun stuff that I'll check out later. But you can do lots of silly stuff. I think what's important to remember when you're getting into Instagram is have fun with it. Don't overthink it, just have fun with it, right? Sometimes it's going to be a bit more silly and less serious than I think the advertising that we're used to as Rotarians. So I'm going to take a picture of this. Okay. And I'm going to add a caption. Having a great time, oops, if I spell it right, learning about Instagram. Okay. Put that up there. That looks great. And I post to my story. And now you'll notice, because I just uploaded a new story, it goes back to being a colored ring instead of the gray one. Okay, so I can click that now and I can watch that new story. And so someone's watching that going, oh, I wonder what the Strathroy Rotary Club's up to. That looks cool. Okay, so that's how that works. If I want to do a post, instead of clicking a story, I just click post, and now it lets me pick different pictures. My nephew was running around with a bra on his arm, so he decided it was hilarious, and I took some pictures. So you can go into your photo loop and then pick whatever pictures you want to pick, okay? So you could then post a picture and put, your caption and all that kind of thing. So you'll notice that's the stories part. The posts are, of course, all of these here. Each one of these is a post. If I click on the post, it shows me the image and, like I mentioned, the description. So it says, ticket sales start this Saturday. Get yours at, and then it's got the website. Okay. Or we can look at this video. So this was our youth exchange student finding out which country she was going to. So this one's a video. And you can see that there's a little video icon in the top right corner of that post. That's how I know it's a video. So I'm going to click on the one kind of in the middle in the second row. So check this out. There you go. Oop. Needless to say, she was very excited to find out she was going to Thailand. Okay. But what's great is we were able to put this caption underneath. So our Clubs Outbound students, Andrea and Grace, just found out which countries they'll be spending a year in on their exchange. So then we were able to add that. And then people commented, which is cool. So you can see the comments. What an adventure. This is awesome. So lots of really great comments, lots of interaction. That's another thing about posts is you get interaction in a way that you don't get from stories. Stories, people can message you separately and be like, hey, that's a funny video or that's a cool post. But with a post, they can actually comment on it and everyone else can see it. So if you're looking to try to drum up conversation, you'd want to use posts, not stories.
You have a question, Kirk?
Oh, yeah, go ahead. I think it's Ramo there. Yeah, Ramo, go ahead.
Sorry, me again. I just wanted to actually say, because I saw one of your posts had a website link there.
Yeah.
Maybe it's worth drawing attention to the fact that links don't actually work in Instagram posts.
Yes,
so ideally, if you want someone to actually click, especially if it's a long link like that one, you kind of probably want to put it up in your, maybe mention at the end about the link tree and stuff.
Yep. Yeah. So what she's saying, or what Ramo's saying there is that in this post, the person who posted it put a link there. You can't actually click on links in Instagram. You can do it in Facebook, but you can't do it in Instagram. So I'm clicking on it. You can't see me, but I'm clicking on it and nothing's happening. So what you should do is if there's a link you want to emphasize in your Instagram profile, you put it actually up here in your profile. So instead of Strathroy Rotary, we could swap that out for, the tickets for our ladies' night or something like that. Or you can have what's called a link tree. It's a bit more complex, but it basically allows you to have multiple links when they click on it. Okay. Thanks, Ramo. Good point. Okay, so we've got posts all down here. These are the posts, okay? These are the stories in the top left corner there. And then you'll see we don't actually have any highlights on ours. So you'll see it says new story highlights. Keep your favorite stories on your profile. We don't have any. So we're going to go to Rotary International because we know that they have some. And we're going to check out their highlights. So you'll see that they have a new story because we have that rainbow kind of ring. So I click on that and I can see whatever they're posting. And you'll see they have a bunch because at the top, you'll see that line that keeps kind of going across. It's quite faint, but that tells me that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stories currently that I haven't watched yet. So I can click through those and kind of watch them all, which is great. Now that I've watched them all, it's gray. So if I want to look at a story, I just click on one of these down here. I pick the one I want to see. I want to see a story about the stories about Rotaract, whatever they've added to that highlight, and I click it. So I click Rotaract. Oh, okay, there we go. We've got some kind of form. Cool. Rotaract is now a type of blank. I could do a quiz. So you can do lots of fun engagement stuff. I can see what they've posted about polio. Right now, there's just one post on that one. Or one story, I should say, not post, sorry, one story. So lots of different things you can do. Again, I know it can seem overwhelming, but think of it more as you got lots of fun stuff to explore as you get to know this stuff better, okay? I want to give you an example of another kind of post a story that you could do that I did that was just really silly, but kind of drives home the point of why you might do a story. So I'm going to switch to my personal account. One thing I should mention is if you create your club's account and you have an account, you can have access to both through the same account. So you don't have to be constantly logging in or logging out of your personal account to go into your business account. You can simply switch back and forth. So I can click on that and really quickly, boom, I'm back into my own account. And now I'm back in the Strathroy Rotary Club's account. So it's not as though you have to log out, put in your username and password. You have to set it up, but it doesn't take very long. And then that way you have access to multiple accounts if you need it. So this is really good if you're a business owner and you've already got a business account for, for your business, plus maybe you want a personal account, plus you want your Rotary Club's account access. You're not having to log in and log out each time. So a silly example. My dog was sitting on the couch. This was over a year ago now, and she had somehow a napkin fell on her head, a cloth napkin. And my partner and I decided she looked like a nun. So we called her Santa Rosa, and we thought it was hilarious. And then my partner, whose favorite movie is The Sound of Music, said, "Oh my God, let's be ridiculous." And he did this. So you can see here, it's the Climb Every Mountain from Sound of Music. Well, then he thought it was funny to do this. And then this. So this is ridiculous, right? We're all laughing going, this is stupid. But this is kind of a good point of what you could use a story for. Something kind of fun, gets people cracking up, kind of gets their attention. And another thing that we'll talk about in a minute is hashtags. So we use the hashtag, the Hound of Music. And because we use that hashtag for every single one of these posts, if I search for the Hound of Music, I will find all of these posts. It will aggregate them for me, which is really cool. Now you can't hear the music, but each time we picked a different song in the movie, which is why it's giving you the lyrics below. So of course, now you probably want to see all the ones we did, right? These were great. That's one of my favorites. She's like back in the corner, just barely getting up the hill. Got a couple more. So you can see in the top that we've got 3 more left, right? Because you can see there's 3 bars that haven't yet been shown. So you go through and there you go. So, we did that. And of course, Julie Andrews, eating some grapes. And so, we did that. We posted them as stories. And then after we said, that was freaking hilarious. We've got to memorialize that. And so we put it as a highlight. And as a highlight, then it made the stories stay there in perpetuity. So that's an example of when you might post something as stories to be funny or just to advertise and later go, hey, I kind of thought those are funny. Let's go put those back on the page. Or I thought those were, good for engagement or something. Okay. All right, I'm going to stop sharing this screen and go back to my other screen. I see a question coming in here. Love that Hound of Music. Thanks, Jim. We were pretty proud of ourselves. I'm not going to lie. She was not a fan. We didn't get many laughs from her, but you know what? It's not all about her sometimes. So, okay. So now we're about halfway through. So before we dive into the best practices, I want to go back to our polling and I want to get a sense from you folks how you're feeling, because I know we're going through a lot of information. So head back to the polling to menti.com. And I want to know, how are you feeling so far? Are you feeling kind of empowered? You're feeling like, oh, this is cool. This is good. Or are you feeling completely overwhelmed going, what the heck did I get myself into? There's also a good chance to get up and stretch if you need to, move around a little bit. You got to make sure that second half we really drive through. So
Can you put the number up again?
Oh, yeah, it's up at the top there, but I will post it in the chat. It is right. There you go. The code number is 5461. If you click that link, it should take you without having to enter the code, but it's 5461 4048. All right, I'm seeing more empowered than overwhelmed. This is really exciting. This is great. This is a good sign. Okay. We'll give you maybe 15 more seconds. Okay. Folks, I'm stoked. Congrats. This is great. I'm so proud of you all because I know sometimes, it's easy to hear me go on about it and just start going, oh my God, where do I start? But the fact that you're feeling empowered, this is really exciting. This is great. Okay, another question for you. So stay in Menti and we'll get to the next question. That question is, oops, gotta advance. There we go. Is the information making sense? I'm guessing if you're feeling empowered that for the most part it is, but is the information making sense? All right, fantastic. This is great. Very, very happy to hear that, folks. Okay. So I think it's time then to move on to the part that people were most excited about, which was best practices. So you've created your account, all right? You've got your business account set up. It's set up properly as a business account. Now it's time to start posting. So you're wondering, what do I do? What do I not do? Well, I'm going to share some basic best practices with you. The first thing is tell your story. Now, by story, I don't necessarily mean what we were just talking about, where I mean only use stories. That's not what I mean. I mean, tell your Rotary story. Tell your members' stories, okay? You've got two levels you can reach people at, the heart and the head, all right? So if I'm trying to reach them at the head level, that's where I give them the information about our fish fry. I let them know that it's at 7 o'clock and tickets are $25 and, don't be late. It sells out quickly. Okay, cool. Henry goes, yeah, that's exciting. But Henry also goes, where's this money going? What are they raising funds for? Who is the Rotary Club? Why does it exist? What exactly do you guys do, right? You want to make sure that you're not only using social media to send out stuff in the information level. You also have to connect with the heart level, with the story level. Why did your members join? What is Rotary all about? Okay. Why do we have the golf tournament every year? What are the kinds of things in the community that have been affected by the funds from that golf tournament or the tournament itself? It brings people in the community together, right? So don't be afraid to tell your story. I find a lot of clubs get stuck in the information level. And one of the big pushes in social media is telling a story. And you're not telling a story if you're only telling me to get my tickets for the fish fry, right? Get me at the emotional level. One of the best performing, so when I was a member of the Rotary Satellite Club of London, one of the best performing series of posts that we had was called Meet Our Board of Directors. I think it was called Meet Our Board. And every week on Monday, we published a different board member. We talked about what their position was, kind of who they were, when and why they joined Rotary, and then one sort of quote about them. Those posts outperformed our other posts. I would almost say 10 to 1. It was incredible. And the other thing I did is I asked people to engage. And what that means is I didn't just put the information there and say, there you go. I said things like, Betty is our treasurer. She's so amazing. She's never late for a meeting. We never have to worry about our money going missing and ending up in Bermuda in Betty's hands. We love her as our treasurer. Post a comment if you know Betty and tell us what you think of Betty. Or Barbara, our secretary. She has been taking minutes like it's her job since she joined the club. We're so thankful for that. Post an emoji that you think best represents Barb. And we got lots of engagement. People wanted to interact. They did not just want to have it be a one-way conversation. They wanted to engage and they wanted to interact. But you have to give them the instruction. You have to tell them to do it. If you just go, well, I really hope they like our post. I really hope they share it. How are they going to know if you don't tell them to do it? So you have to say, we really want to sell out this year. We would really appreciate it if you could all share this post across your networks. We know we have a huge reach in our community. We just have to connect. Or what do you think of when you think of fish fry? Post their funniest emoji below. Okay, so get these people to engage. It doesn't always have to be something serious either. It doesn't have to be a very legitimate question, right? Post your favorite emoji that comes to mind when you think of Barb. That's kind of silly and fun, but it gets people thinking and it gets people laughing and people want to have a good time when they're on social media. All right, so I'm not saying don't post information. I'm not saying don't post, tickets are $25 and yada, yada, but don't forget to also tell the story. That's the part that connects us, okay? Okay, next is about hashtags. And I say, find that hashtag heaven. Hashtags are the number sign attached to words that you want to sort of stand out or connect your post to. So if I'm doing a fish fry fundraiser, I might post my information and then I might put hashtag fish fry, hashtag fundraiser, hashtag Rotary International. I'm saying somewhere between 3 and 8. I don't want to have 45 hashtags. I don't want to hashtag every hashtag known to man, but I also don't want to just put hashtag Rotary. That's a little too broad. Okay. So I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to give you another example by going back to my phone here. Just bear with me for one moment while I reconnect. And if I could, again, just get a quick thumbs up when you can see my phone screen. Wonderful. Okay. So let me give you an example. So this is we're working on our hybrid meetings at the Strathroy Club. I got really excited about how we got. So I said, hey, everyone, pose for a picture. I'm going to take a picture and then post it. So what are the hashtags we used? Well, Rotary, Rotary International, hashtag Strathroy, hashtag Strathroy Caradoc, hashtag Strathroy ON. And those are because all of those are kind of widely used in Strathroy. if you're in Northern Bruce Peninsula and they have one kind of, again, way for terming that town or something, then you'd probably just use that one, but some places have more than one, okay? Hashtag District 6330, hashtag Service Above Self, People of Action, Strathroy Rotary, hashtag hybrid meetings, hashtag virtual meeting. That's a lot. That might be almost on the borderline of too many, but here's the cool thing about hashtags. Any hashtag I click on will connect me or show me other posts that have used the same hashtag. So if I want to see what are other people hashtagging Strathroy, I'm going to click hashtag Strathroy, so that tag, and anyone else that used the hashtag Strathroy, I can see there's 53.5 thousand posts that have used hashtag Strathroy. And I can see the kind of thing that people are posting. And I look and I go, oh my gosh, these are other local businesses. I know some of these faces. I know this is great. This is helping me connect to people in the community. Okay. And that's just hashtag Strathroy. I go back and I go, who's using hashtag D6330? Okay. So I click on that. Okay. Well, I see that that's from the Strathroy Rotary Club. That's great. Actually, this is from the high school in Strathroy. Okay. I see this is from, I think, the Kincardine Club. That's fantastic. All right. So I see other things that connect me, okay, to, in this case, D6330. Now, one thing you'll notice is you want to try and use stuff that's not going to get confused. So I work with the Rotary Youth Exchange Program. So that's another account that I manage. However, if I do hashtag RYE only, because I go Rotary Youth Exchange, RYE, well, that also spells the word rye. So you can imagine I'm basically going to get a lot of posts about alcohol. And so if I only do that hashtag, it's not going to be much good for me. So what kind of posts do I do? Or what kind of hashtags do I do? Well, Rotary International, D66330, because again, I want to connect. So I want the Strathroy Club to use that hashtag. And now I'm using it for our youth exchange program, and it connects those two posts a bit. Hashtag study abroad, hashtag youth exchange. Okay, what other ones? Hashtag, I even did a hashtag of the emoji of the country the person was going to. And sure enough, if I click that, 150,000 other posts have used hashtag Finland flag. And sure enough, what do I get? Well, a whole bunch of posts about Finland. How cool is that? So it's really a great way to connect you or have you show up in search results for other people that might be searching for the same thing. All right. So again, you want there to be that mix. You don't want to have 44 hashtags because you want to get every potential thing people are searching, but you also don't want to have, only one. All right. So think about your geographic location, think about your part of Rotary, think about maybe the type of post. Is it a fundraising post? Is it a membership Monday? You might do hashtag member Monday, something like that. You can play around with it. You have lots of flexibility and you can start to see if certain posts kind of get a bigger reach, and they very well might, depending on the hashtags that you use. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing that. I'm going to jump back to my screen. I apologize for all the back and forth. Hopefully no one's getting whiplash. All right. So next one, research your hashtags first. Like I said, with RYE, I realized quickly, oh, wait, in my head, RYE, I don't even think of the alcohol anymore. I automatically think of Rotary Youth Exchange. Well, most people don't. So do a quick search in Instagram. You can click search and do a search for the hashtag, and you'll see what pops up for that. Because you never know when you think something is harmless enough. It's maybe not harmless, and you don't necessarily want to associate with that hashtag. Okay. Don't write too much text. When you do a post, you can have, I think, a couple hundred words, if I'm not mistaken. You don't necessarily need to just because you can. Less is more. People stop reading pretty quickly nowadays. So maybe a couple dozen words at the very most. Try to keep it short and sweet. Okay. Post regularly and frequently. I say frequently. I know that can scare some people off because they go, I don't have the time to post 3 times a day. Forget it. I'm not saying it has to be like that. Even if you start with once a week, that's fantastic. Once a week is a great start. Okay. And then if you get other people on your public image committee or whatever it might be to help you, maybe they post once a week and you post once a week. So now you're already up to twice a week, but you're only doing half the work. I would highly recommend sharing the load with other people in your club, because what often happens if you don't is you end up being the social media person and no one else wants to take it on because you go, nope, that's Barb's job. Barb does that. Don't touch it. And Barb's going, but I don't want to do it anymore. Or I don't want to do it forever anyway. And now I've kind of pigeonholed myself into this. Okay, so get people to help you with it, make it a kind of group thing. In fact, in our club, I'm kind of guilty of that myself at the moment, but I'm working with one of our members who is going to do a whole membership thing where she's going to go and interview our members, get a headshot of them, and then she'll take care of posting the membership Monday piece. I'll take care of the other posts. And then we have another member who's going to help me with even more posts. So just spread the workload. All right. Always include a call to action. Always include a call to action. If you're posting about a fundraiser or an event, your call to action is probably going to be buy a ticket or show up to our event. You know, it'll be something related to the event. But if you're just posting a video of your meeting and you just want to share with the world how great your meeting went, you might think, well, I don't really have a call to action. I don't really have anything I want them to do. But just, hey, like this post if you agree that Rotary is great, or comment below if you've ever wanted to check out a Rotary meeting, but you're not sure how, or comment below with the reason you joined Rotary. Always have some sort of call to action that asks people to engage with your post. It asks people to interact. Okay. If you don't, social media very quickly becomes this one-sided thing. I'm pushing stuff out, but I don't want to get anything back. And that's not what we want. We want engagement, because the other part is that engagement increases the popularity and therefore the likelihood, for example, of things being found on your page compared to people that just post stuff that doesn't get any engagement. So if you post 30 times a day and every post gets 1 like or no engagement, your page will probably perform worse. Even though you're posting all the time, it'll probably perform worse than someone else's page who posts maybe twice a week, but gets lots of engagement. So lots of people liking, lots of people commenting, lots of people sharing. Liking, commenting, and sharing are powerful things for your page to grow in popularity, and popularity in terms of search results too. All right. Include the link to your club's website in your bio. I showed you kind of at the top where the bio is. That's kind of a next step. Get your page set up. And then if you're still like, I want to do that, but I'm not quite sure how, let me know and I can help you with it. Or if you're not sure, we can walk through it together. Okay. But that is something I would recommend down the road, is put your club's website or your club's Facebook page, whatever it might be. Probably the website makes the most sense, or whatever upcoming fundraiser page you have or something in your bio, so people can click on something in the bio. Okay. I see Stuart saying, how do we use this? How we use this to fundraise or sell? So you got your golf tournament coming up, Stuart, and you want to sell tickets. You'd have posts about your golf tournament saying, hey, our golf tournament's coming up. Actually, let me give you an example. I'm going to go right out of the app here, or I'm going to go right back into the app. Okay. Or into my phone rather, in the app. And I'll show you what our club did for our virtual trivia night. Okay. So we were running a virtual trivia night and we wanted to sell tickets and let people know about it. So we posted a whole bunch of posts about it. All right. So we told them about what it was. You can see from the image that it's 7 p.m., $75 a team, right? And then at the time in our bio, so if I go to the top of the profile where it currently says strathroyrotary.com, you can click that link and it will take you to, well, currently at this moment it's not, but it'll take you to the website that you put in there, okay? So what we did is we changed out that link. Instead of being the Strathroy Rotary Club site for those days, we actually put the link to buy your tickets for the virtual trivia night. And so when in our captions or in our descriptions, we said, let me just find it here, click the link in our bio to get your tickets. Then when people went to the bio and clicked the link, it took them right to the page where they could buy tickets. So that's how you would use it to sell or fundraise. Okay. The biggest thing, obviously, is just information about your event, right? Getting the word out. Like we were posting all this. We were posting, practice trivia questions to get people excited, get people thinking about it. We were advertising what our prizes were, all sorts of stuff. So you can see we did lots of posting about it. Okay. And now we're actually starting promotion for our ladies, Glitz and Glamour Ladies Night. So we'll see more posts coming up as the tickets or as we get closer to the event. So that's really how you use it to sell or fundraise. Okay. All right. Now, best practices was the part that most people were excited about. What questions or comments do you maybe have? I've gone through all the main points there, but what questions or comments might you have that I didn't answer or didn't touch on that you're still wondering about? It's bit of an unfair question because really until you start exploring and playing around, you don't know what questions you have. So that's the biggest thing is just spend some time playing around. But you're gonna have, if you want, you can have a lot of fun with it. You can add stickers to your posts and silly things and all sorts of fun stuff. The biggest thing with Instagram, I would say, don't be afraid to post something. If you mess something up, you can always delete it. If you make a grammar mistake and a club member points it out, you can go ahead and edit the post and fix it. It's not the end of the world. Or if you don't figure out how to fix it and it's too frustrating, just don't fix it. If it's a grammar mistake and it's not offending anyone, here's the other great thing about social media. It disappears into the past so quickly that if you're posting regularly, 4 or 5 posts in, people aren't scrolling back that far generally. Okay, I think someone's unmuted, so I'm guessing there's a question or a comment around.
Yeah, Kirk, quick question. Anybody can set up one of these accounts. There's no control of it by Meta or anybody else, correct? Same with Facebook, kind of first one to set it up with that name wins, right?
Oh yeah, exactly. So if someone's already used Rotary Markdale, unfortunately you're out, but you could do Markdale Rotary, you know?
Okay, now the question is, if I set it up and I volunteered for whatever reason, I volunteered to take over the social media stuff, including the web page.
Yep.
So the question is, if I start it up, because if I put the club email address as the identifier,
yep.
Who can modify that profile?
Good question. So I want to just clarify one thing. The email address isn't the handle that it becomes. So it's not. So our handle for Strathroy is Strathroy Rotary, but our website connected to it is different. But I just want to clarify for others that might think they're one and the same. Yeah. You need an email just to create the account, but then your handle or your username is whatever people search to find you. Those are separate. But yeah, if you're right, if you're using your club's email and 40 people have access to your club's email and password, then in theory, any of those people could get into the Instagram account and play around if they want to.
Keyword there is password.
Yep. That's right. They would have to have the password. That's right. To the email.
So that's what controls it then. They're not going to be able to change the profile without knowing the password.
Yeah, that's right. And the other thing is that, so there's 2 pieces to it. You could do you'll give people that you want to have access to permission to access the page. Same with Facebook, right? No one can just go in and change your Facebook page. You have to give them access. Same thing happens in Instagram. I guess what I'm saying with the email is someone could do like a forgot password on the Instagram account and then get into your Instagram account. Again, if someone's going to that much trouble to sabotage your account, probably shouldn't be in Rotary because it's not going to pass the 4-way test.
Assuming it's a Rotarian doing it.
Yeah, fair. But yeah,
they'd have to be on the email list, right?
Yeah, I would say you're pretty safe, to be perfectly honest, because even if something did happen, you could get in and just update the password and you're usually fine. So yeah.
Right. Okay.
Good thing to think about. I mean, security is important like that, but I've never heard of it happening to a Rotary club where they've kind of gotten their account hijacked or people posting anything sinister or anything like that. But yeah, definitely something to think about. Yeah. Okay. And I think Ramo, did you have your hand up again?
That was actually, I just wanted to say that whoever has access to the email can actually change the password, but you already covered it.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you. I appreciate you checking on me to make sure I'm telling this stuff right, because sometimes in my head I'm like, yeah, of course. And I go, wait, can you do that? So I'm glad you're helping me with this. I appreciate that. Great. Okay. Any other questions before we move forward? All right. I really am going to encourage you, play around and then ask me questions. Right? I mean, all of you have had some kind of, I was going to say working career. What I mean is you've all learned stuff throughout your lives, and you probably all know that the first time you make bread or you fix something, you don't do as well as you thought you were going to do, even though you watched someone else do it 10 times. But you did it once, you asked for help as to what you did wrong so that you do it better the next time. I can't stress enough that it's the same with social media. You're going to post your first post. It's going to be a disaster. You might post the wrong thing or the caption's wrong, and you can just reach out to me or to someone else that knows social media and be like, hey, can you help me? I made some mistakes and I want to do it better next time. And next time you'll do it better. And then after doing it for 6 months or a year, you'll look back and go, oh, those first posts, man, I was still learning. That's for sure. I can't stress that enough because I feel like people shy away from it because they're afraid of messing something up. At worst case scenario, you delete the post and start again. Okay. You can't break Instagram. Okay. Let's keep moving. So what do we got next? Oh yeah, so connecting your Instagram and Facebook. You might ask why bother? I think I've explained this probably well enough that that all makes sense, but basically you don't want to do double the work. If you've got a Facebook page and an Instagram account, you don't want to have to post to both of those separately. Thankfully, because they're both owned by Meta, you don't have to. You can post to one and it automatically posts to the other for you. And that's a really big time saver. All right. Now they're not identical, as you know, right? I talked about Facebook is a little bit different than Instagram. So there may be times where you want to post separately because it just makes sense to. But I can tell you 99% of what I post on both the Youth Exchange District page as well as on the Strathroy Rotary Club page, I post the same thing. It's identical, whether it's a video, a photo, it's just all the same because it works, right? So that's the benefit to doing so. In terms of the how, okay, this is where you're going to have to deal with a lot of steps. And I am going to send the recording. I'll also send the steps as an article that you can click on. There are a few steps, but the biggest thing is you have to make sure that you're an admin or an editor on your club's Facebook page first. It's not going to work if you don't have that access yet. So in your Facebook profile, or rather through your Facebook profile, you have to have admin or editor access to your club's Facebook page. Okay, that's the first thing you got to do. Once you do that, it's quite straightforward, but you want to make sure you take care of that first. So that's another thing where, again, if you're going, oh my God, where do I start? Just let me know and we can do it one-on-one. I can kind of walk you through that. Often what I see is someone going, yeah, someone in our club is an admin, but I'm not sure who. And how. So you do have to do a little bit of legwork sometimes because you've got to find out if you're not currently an admin on your club's Facebook page, you have to find out who is so that they can make you an admin. Another thing I'll mention related to this, while we're kind of still on the tail end of best practices and related to this, I would recommend giving at least 2, if not 3 to 4 people in your club access to both Facebook and Instagram. Yes, there we go. Ron is in agreement with me. The second that club member that only has access, the second they leave the club or get sick or go to Mexico for 6 months, you don't have access to it, right? So multiple people in your club should be admins on your Facebook page and should have access to the Instagram account. And by access, I don't mean that they follow it like a regular user. I mean that they're able to post to it themselves. Could be your public image or social media committee. It could be, you could decide your executive, doesn't really matter. The other people don't even have to post to it. They just need to have access so that multiple people are sharing that, okay? Again, don't want to get too much into the weeds of how to do this, but I will send those instructions and I can help you walk through that if you need it. This is a big time saver though. I can't stress this enough. All right. So now the benefit of once you connect them or of connecting them is that then you can actually see shared trends and insights and sort of analysis on your different posts. So for example, this is the Youth Exchange page. Okay, our youth exchange page for our district. And I can see that in the last 28 days, our Facebook page reach is up 500% and our Instagram reach is up 800%. If I didn't have both accounts connected, I would only be able to see one of those. Okay. So huge benefit to that. And the other cool thing is that through what's called the Meta Business Suite. So let me step back. Once you have the accounts connected, you can post from one to the other. So I could go into Instagram, create a post or a story and choose to share it not only on my Instagram, but also on my Facebook. You can do that, pretty straightforward. But what I would recommend getting comfortable with is what's called the Meta Business Suite. So again, you have Instagram, I can post to Facebook, Facebook post to Instagram, but with the Meta Business Suite, I'm kind of working at one higher level and I'm designating where I want things to go. And it's pretty user-friendly. It can be a little overwhelming at first, but it's pretty user-friendly in terms of posting. So once again, probably for the last time tonight, I'm going to stop sharing this and share my phone instead so I can show you kind of what that looks like. All right, so the Meta Business Suite is a different app. It's a different app you'd have to download. Now this you can do on you can do it on your computer or on your phone. Both are fine. So I click on the Business Suite app. All right, I'm just going to move this over so I can see. Okay, and you'll see that I have access to the Youth Exchange page, and you'll notice there's a little Facebook icon. where the 6330 is, as well as an Instagram icon, which tells me that both accounts are connected. So now I say, I want to do a post. So I do create post. Well, the very first thing it asks me is, hey, do you want to publish both to the news, your Facebook account and your Instagram, or just one or the other? So I could say, well, this one doesn't really apply to Instagram. I'm gonna not publish to that. But I'm gonna say, yeah, I want it to post to both. Why not? Save me the trouble of having to do it separately. Heck, I can even post it into the district group. Saves me another trouble of having to manually share it after I'm done it. Okay, but in this case, we're gonna go like that. We're gonna click done. And now I can write something. This is a post. Okay, there it is. I can add a photo or video. I can add my location. I can say that I'm feeling blessed, and it'll add that as part of my status. Okay, I can go, and then I can go to next. Oops, sorry. I can go to next, and it tells me I can do a couple things. And this gets really cool. I can publish it now, just go right away, and it'll at 8:17 it'll post. Or I can say, I don't want to post it now. I want to post it tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. It's a special post that I only want it to go tomorrow at 8 a.m. So I click schedule for later, and I can pick exactly when I want to schedule it for. This is really handy because Barb doesn't want to sit down 8 times a week to schedule to publish stuff. She wants to sit down once a week and schedule all the posts for that week. And that's how you do it. You schedule one post for Monday morning, one post for Thursday afternoon, one post for Sunday morning. And then I don't have to do it for the rest of the week. They'll automatically publish throughout the week. Now, if I'm at my club's meeting on Wednesday and I want to publish one in real time, I can still do that. It doesn't stop me from doing that because I scheduled those other ones. But now there's like 4 posts going out and I don't even have to worry about it. I dealt with it all Monday morning and now I'm done. I don't have to think about it again until next week. So that's a huge benefit of scheduling your posts. You can kind of cram in a couple of hours of time, get a whole bunch of posts knocked out, and then you're good to go. It's especially good for things like your club's preparing for World Polio Day. You're doing a World's Greatest Supper and you want to do some advertising. So you do a post for September 1st, September 7th, September 10th, September 15th, because they're all pretty similar, right? They're going to be kind of saying the same thing. You can almost copy and paste the message for each one, but then just tweak it a little bit. Whereas if I go on the 1st and I create my message and my posts and all that, then I do it again on the 7th. Then I do it again on the 10th. It's a lot of extra work. So this saves you a lot of time. All right. So now I click done. I've got it scheduled. For some reason, I'm going to send it at January 26th at 3:37 a.m. Great time. Okay. And then I can save it as a draft. If I'm not ready to send it and I just kind of want to think on it, I can just save it as a draft. Okay. And it'll let you do a preview of what it'll look like on each network. So this is what the post will look like. Down here is what it'll look like on Facebook. This is what it'll look like. Oh, I can't save it, so I got to just schedule it. Sorry. So I can see what it looks like on Facebook. Why does it not let me do this? Instagram. Oh, I see. Okay. Because I put one of these and you can't do that on Instagram. So if I do next, you'll see that it's still going to give me grief. That's what you're going to see. Let me see if I can fix this for us. I think this should work for us. Okay, so I do next. Not still give me grief for some reason. Anyway, what you would be able to see if I were doing it right is it would show me both what it's going to look like on Facebook as well as what that'll look like on Instagram. Okay, which is kind of nice because I can see if it's going to look really different on one. Generally, it won't, but it'll let you see that. Okay, so that's kind of the cool thing about the business suite. The other cool thing is that you can see what's called insights. And that's, again, sort of like, how is our page doing? How is it performing? So in order to see that, I click more and I click insights, and I can see our Facebook page reach, our Instagram reach, how many Facebook page visits we've had recently, how many Instagram profile visits. These things are generally available independently. If you go to Facebook, you can see your Facebook stats. And if you go to Instagram, you can see your Instagram stats. But this brings it all together, which is really great because you're going to sit there going, is my work paying off? Well, this is the data that's going to tell you that. Instead of just hoping that your stuff is doing well, you can really see how many people are my posts going out to. Am I getting engagement? This would be a whole nother webinar looking into, the insights part, but I just want to kind of get you excited about what you can do with this. All right. So I'll stop sharing that. And we'll go back to my desktop for the last time. I appreciate your patience as we do the flipping back and forth. Okay, so that's the Meta Suite. And again, why I would recommend using it. It's just super handy for bringing stuff together, saving your time and effort. And again, the insights so that you can see how your page is performing and whether or not you're getting the engagement you're looking for. That's huge. That's huge, because if you're posting something that you think is going to be popular, you don't have to work on anecdotal evidence anymore. You can actually go and say, well, the data is showing that that post wasn't popular. What can we do to make it better? Okay. All right. So next steps. You're thinking, okay, I've watched this webinar. Now what do I do? Well, first thing I would say, ensure 2 to 3 members have admin or access permissions and will post to it. Try to get at least 2 people posting once a week. That means it's only once a week that you have to post. Now, if you're willing to do that whole thing where you schedule 3 or 4 posts for the week, you probably don't need a second person, but make sure someone at least has access, even if they won't be posting, so that you don't lose access by accident. Okay. Next, discuss a posting schedule and decide on a few dedicated hashtags. By a posting schedule, what I mean is if Barb and Stuart are going to share the responsibility of the Facebook page and the Instagram account, what you don't want is that they're not communicating. So it ends up 3 posts on Monday, no posts on Tuesday, no posts on Wednesday, 2 more posts Thursday morning. You want to spread it out. So if more than one person in your club is going to be posting, communicate about who's posting when. Even if you want to just make a calendar and just make a shared calendar and you go, I'll post this day, you post that day or something, you could do that if you needed to. Or you could say, Stuart, you post on Thursdays, Barb, I'll post on Mondays. Okay, you could do something like that. All right. The other thing about the dedicated hashtags is that if you use a dedicated hashtag that's unique enough that it only really is being used by you, it's easy to track all your posts and see all your stuff, right? So if Mike, during his DG year, wanted to have a dedicated hashtag, he could do DG Mike. Now, it's not guaranteeing no one else in the world has ever used the hashtag DG Mike, but it's not like he just did hashtag Mike. I think we know that would probably have a few results, few million probably, right? And if he just did hashtag DG, that's kind of, well, what does that mean? So something like hashtag DG Mike, that'd be kind of specific to him. And he could at any time do hashtag DG Mike and it kind of pulls all his posts together. So that's why, for example, when I'm doing a youth exchange post, I do hashtag D6330RYE. I can tell you anyone posting about rye, like the alcohol, is not putting D6330 in front of it. Right? But if I only post D6330, it doesn't give me specific enough to only talk about youth exchange. So by using that unique one in all my youth exchange posts, it's sort of like traceable. Then Strathroy Rotary, I do hashtag Strathroy Rotary. I can track those. Now, in a situation like the City of London, you've got, as you may know, another London that's a little bit bigger than you just across the pond. So I wouldn't do hashtag Rotary London, because there's a good chance that there's 38 clubs in London, England that are using hashtag London Rotary. But you might do hashtag Rotary London ON for Ontario. And then you're probably the only one using that. So you want to think of something that's specific enough that it's only really you, but not so specific that it's 48 characters long type thing. Okay. So middle ground there. Third thing is honestly have fun, experiment, play around. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to use too many hashtags and then not enough. And you're going to put too many pictures and then not enough. Just enjoy it and become more comfortable with it. Follow other Instagram pages and learn from them, right? Follow other people's pages. And I will say, not just people your own age, follow people younger than you, follow people older than you. If you're trying to get a certain demographic to join your club, follow their pages. Follow their Instagram accounts to see what types of things they're posting, right? To know what's going to resonate with them. You can't say, well, I think the post looks great. And then someone else looks at it and goes, well, I think it looks like crap. Well, if they're the person you want to join your club, we got to think it a little bit differently. How can we get them to get excited about what we're posting? All right. Okay. Any questions? I know there was a lot there. But are there any questions? And your first question might be, what the heck is this white noise on the screen? This is a QR code with my contact information. So if you take your camera and you put it and scan, turn on your camera on your phone and you scan that, your phone will automatically scan it if it's an iPhone. If it's an Android, you can use a QR code scanner and it will create a contact in your phone with my contact info. It's got my cell phone, my email and everything, so you can contact me if you need help. So hold your camera up to it and you'll see that it scans it.
Instant.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Oops, sorry. So while you're doing that, are there any questions? It should detect that it's a little code thing, and then you click on the piece that pops up, and then it should offer to add my contact info into your phone.
Kirk, this may be very elementary, and it might be the one that you answer in that session about using the insights.
No
But
problem.
when you post something on Instagram, how does it build followers? Because when I go on Instagram, I see the people that I'm following, and then other things pop up. What drives those things to my account, and what can we do to drive it to the demographics that we want to reach?
Yeah, good question. So a couple things. Hashtags help because they help people locate you. Posting frequently helps because it means you're more active, right? If there's two accounts, if there's like Strathroy Rotary and Rotary Strathroy, like two different accounts have that, and one is posting frequently and getting better engagement because they're asking people to like and comment and share, and the other one's just posting and not doing anything, the one asking people to engage is going to be higher in search results, for example. It's going to be more likely to show up in searches and that kind of thing. So the first part is posting frequently. Well, I would say regularly. I don't want to scare people into thinking you have to do it daily, but posting regularly, using a good, the right hashtags, and then lots of engagement. And then the other thing is, in the beginning especially, bug people to follow your page, or to follow your account. When you're at home, when you're at home with your grandkids or something, they pull out their phone and say, do you guys have Instagram? Yep. Go onto Instagram. I want you to go to Strathroy Rotary, and I want you to follow the page. You can unfollow in a year if it's not cool enough for you, but while we build up our following, I need you to follow it. Because then, of course, the more followers it has, the more popular it ends up in search rankings and stuff like that. So get your family and friends, get all of the members of your club to pull out their phone. If you have an Instagram account, go to the search menu in the Instagram account, and I want you to find our club's Instagram page, and you need to follow it. And I want you to do the same thing in our Facebook page. Okay. And then do the same thing when you're out and about at different events. Ask people to follow you. Like it's the reality is that people will follow you if you ask them to. Most people just don't ask. So that would be another big thing. Just asking, hey, find us on Instagram. We are at Strathroy Rotary or at D6330RYE. Please go ahead and follow us. It really helps us spread our message. Okay. I'm seeing Ramos says no email address in the contact. That is bizarre. Let me try scanning it. There should be one. I think I've got it in there. Yeah, I am seeing it. Oh, I almost just called myself. Let me put it in the chat anyway. Yeah, it's just my first and last name at gmail.com. But yeah, I do see it in there. So I think it's working. Okay. I know we're getting a little short on time. I apologize for going over. I appreciate you sticking with me. Any other questions for the moment? All right, then just to bug you at the very end, I have two final poll questions. But this is helpful to me, I promise. Here are my two poll questions. My first one is that I've been thinking about, so we're going to go back to Menti, I should say. We're going to go back to Menti and get you to participate in two last things. I used to do a number of webinars when I started in this role. I would always think of a theme and come up with a webinar like I did tonight. And I've been toying with the idea of something like office hours. For those of you that went to post-secondary, you might remember your professors would have office hours where you could just go in and ask them questions or get help or whatever it might be. So I'm toying with the idea of, doing monthly office hours where I have an hour or two a month where I'm just on Zoom and you can just join the Zoom and ask any questions that you have. And so I want to know if that's worth the while. I don't want to do it if I'm going to be sitting by myself, but if I have people that I think might join, kind of like a working hour where you could just bring your phone and say, hey, let's do a post together. Let's figure out how to share something or get more engagement or whatever it might be. So I want to get a sense of how likely people would be to do that. Okay, we're getting lots of maybes. That's good. As a side note, Mike, I was actually thinking you could kind of do this for you could have a membership office hours every month. You could have public image office hours, foundation office hours, where people can just kind of log in and go, hey, what the heck does my club have to do to get on the board with the foundation? Kind of anything.
Right.
But side note.
That's a great idea. And they could happen all on the same night at the same time.
Yeah, that's right. Put us into breakout rooms, for example. Yep.
Yep.
They could. Okay, cool. Well, I appreciate that feedback. I'm glad no one said likely not. That gives me hope that hey, it might be worthwhile. So maybe we'll try that in the next few months and just see So, you're on this exciting adventure of getting your social media going. When you see that, just join the office hour and futz around with us, and let's see if we can figure out, how to get better posts and get you excited about social media. Okay, last question. As just before we log off, then my question is, what was the most valuable thing that you learned tonight? And I promise this isn't an ego boost for me. It really is more me figuring out what were the parts that you found most helpful or useful. Either one tidbit of information, maybe it was an entire topic, maybe something else someone said, doesn't matter. Just tell me what was kind of the most helpful. That would be what I'd like to know. And once we have answers coming in, we should see it start scrolling up the screen, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, Hala saying Meta Business, okay. Okay, so learning a bit about the Meta Business Suite. That's a couple people saying that, that's good. Stories and moving around. I assume you mean kind of moving around the profile itself and how to navigate all that, okay. I need to know how to use hashtags, okay. Differences between post, story, highlights, and reels, okay, good. So, okay, good. Hashtags, good, okay. Give you maybe a few more seconds of that. 12 years of IG presence, but should start scrolling, but I think it's maybe a bit behind. Your email address. Someone's going to be hounding me, I can already tell. 12 years of IG presence, but never played with the biz account. Okay, good. Hashtags. Business of stories, good, and email. Okay, awesome.
So I guess the thing that's in my mind now, I know social media, there are big social media stars who become influencers and get a lot of money for what they say about what's going on.
Hashtags.
Can we get to the point where we are influencers as Rotary to get people to join? Is there evidence that this activity leads to greater membership and participation? That's what we're shooting for,
Good
right?
question. Yeah, it is. It is. You ask a really good question where it's sort of like, what's the impact, right? And that's an important question to ask, because you do want to say to yourself, if I'm spending hours curating posts and taking great pictures at my events to post and all that, you kind of want to know that you're getting a return on that investment. And I have, I guess, two things I would say. One is that if you're trying to reach out to the demographic of people that are more likely to see something on Instagram or Facebook than a billboard, then you have to be on Instagram and Facebook. So kind of at a base level, I don't necessarily have proof in my head that it's going to get your membership up 50%, but if you're not on the platform, then you're definitely not getting seen by that demographic. So I think that's the starting point, is you got to be present in order to be seen, right? You got to be on the platforms or in the places where people are looking in order to be seen. In terms of actual performance related to membership, I don't have data on that. Rotary International might, although like they might have, for example, because they have their funneling where through the RI's website you can go and indicate that you want to join a club, and then I think it asks like, how did you hear about us? And I'm sure that one of the options would say saw them on social media. So I'm sure there's some way to get data on that. I don't have any, but I will say that we, like even as the Strathroy Rotary Club, we get good engagement on our posts. We get people saying, so great to see you and all that. And the other part is kind of on the other side of it. Not only do you not get seen if you're not on it, but if you're, as your club, right, commenting and sharing and stuff on other people's posts, right? Other Rotary Clubs posts, other community posts. So Strathroy has a lot of small businesses that are up and coming right now. So the Strathroy Rotary Club shares some of their posts, shares some of their stories, right? Kind of speaks volumes on them kind of thing, that then makes them go, oh, wow, Rotary's there, Rotary's present, Rotary's not just about trying to think about themselves, but they're out helping small businesses in the community. I mean, given that a lot of Rotarians are small business owners, it kind of makes sense. So I'm kind of giving you a really long-winded answer, Jim. And the reality is that I don't have stats to prove that it works, but I feel like you have to be present where people are. And there's a lot of people spending a lot of time on social media nowadays. So you're at least getting seen. And then I think it's just like anything else. Your club can put up, you know, that sign in the pavilion saying this was donated by Rotary, but does that really bring in members? Or is it when someone then at the grocery store sees your pin and goes, I know that logo. You guys have the thing in the pavilion in the park. And then you go, yeah, you interested in coming to check us out? Like in the same way that how many people say, I joined Rotary because I saw a billboard or I saw the pavilion in my local park? No, they say someone asked me to come. But what the logo does and what our Instagram and Facebook and all this brand awareness does, it makes it go from what the heck is that to, oh, I've seen that around town for sure. They say it takes, I think, somewhere around 20-ish times for you to see a brand before you recognize it, before it's one that's kind of, oh yeah, I've seen that before. So it's sort of like, this is building up that baseline for people to go, oh, I've seen that logo before. Why does Barb have it on her shirt? Right? It's building up that exposure. So that's kind of what I would say. Can we become influencers? I don't know. Can we get a couple thousand followers in our community and really pump our events? I absolutely think so. I absolutely think every club could have between 1,000 and 5,000 followers. And that means every time you post something about your fish fry, your golf tournament, your End Polio Now dinner, it's potentially getting seen by thousands of people in your community. And do we become influencers that way? I don't know. But do we sell out of events? You bet we do. Absolutely. So that's kind of what I would say. Influencers, I don't know, but certainly we can reach maybe a little lower than that.
Well, maybe when you talked about stories from the heart, there's when I produced a district or an area video, there's one line at the end of that video by Barb that probably we could extract and put out there. It says, it's amazing what a group of Rotarians who put their heart to it can do.
Yep.
So yeah, I think maybe we need to root through our club to find personal testimonies as to how Rotary has made a difference in their lives.
Yeah. Another quick comment on that. I know we're running late on time, and if you have to dip out, that's totally okay, not a problem. But one thing I would say is when Instagram and Facebook were first getting big, the idea of very beautifully curated and sort of very good footage and everything was what you wanted. You wanted a nice background. You wanted, you didn't want to look like you were in your car. Hey, everyone, da, 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 And now what we're actually seeing is the trends going back to people want more authentic looking material. If everything looks too polished and too perfect, it feels fake. So one of the, like Jim, to your point, go to your next meeting, go up to someone and say, Betty, why did you join Rotary? And why are you still a member? And let her tell her 38-second story about why she joined Rotary. Hit stop and upload it to your page. Boom. It doesn't have to be in a perfectly lit place, and Betty didn't have to get her makeup done, and she didn't have to be, no, just real live video like that, a real human being. And then in your caption, you put, let us know if you know Barb in the comments, or sorry, I keep saying Barb, Betty, share a great story about that, about Betty. And then the next week you do Stuart, and the next week you do Ramo, and the next one you do Rasha. Every week, hey, quick question for you. Why do you love Rotary? Hey, what's your favorite event in our club? Hey, how long have you been a member? And what's the coolest memory you have of your time in Rotary? 30, 45-second videos, those will perform very, very well. And talk about telling the Rotary story, right? Right from the horse's mouth. All right. Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody. I really appreciate your time tonight. I'm sorry we went over time a little bit, but there was some good questions and stuff as we went through. I hope you all enjoyed it. And I will be probably doing these office hours because they're pretty easy to set up. So stay tuned for information about that. And we'll shoot you all an email about the recording once it's ready. Have a good night, everybody. Take care.
Thank you, Kirk.
You're very welcome. My pleasure.